Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 11 to 15 of chapter 3. Devan bhavayatanena
Devan bhavayatanena
Te deva bhavayantu vaha
Te deva bhavayantu vaha
Parasparam bhavayantaha
Parasparam bhavayantaha
Shreyah paramavapsyatha
Shreyah paramavapsyatha
Ishtan bhogan hi vo devaha
Ishtan bhogan hi vo devaha
Dasyante yajna bhavitaha
Dasyante yajna bhavitaha
Taidattana pradayaibhyaha
Tairdattana pradayaibhyaha
Yo bhungte stena eva saha
Yo bhungte stena eva saha
Yajna shishtashinah santaha
Yajna shishtashinah santaha
Muchyante sarvakilbishaihi
Muchyante sarvakilbishaihi
Bhunjate te tvagam papaha
Bhunjate te tvagam papaha
Ye pachantyatmakaranat
Ye pachantyatmakaranat
Annad bhavanti bhutani
Annad bhavanti bhutani
Parjanyadanna sambhavah.
पर्जन्यादन्न सम्भवः
Yajnāt bhavati parjanyah.
यज्ञात् भवति पर्जन्यः
Yajnah karma samudbhavah.
यज्ञः कर्मसमुद्भवः
Karma brahmodbhavam viddhi.
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
Brahmakshara samudbhavam.
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
Tasmat sarvagatam brahma.
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
Nityam yajne pratishthitam.
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in the last session we were seeing what is the implication, what is the meaning and implication of the word Agam. Even though in common parlance we say that it is a word, actually all these things represent certain principles. When you look at these things as mere words, now you will appreciate the meaning, but you will not practice anything which is given. When you understand that these are not mere words, but these are words which represent certain principles, then your next question will be, how should I practice those principles? So that will lead to spiritual evolution, that will lead to the development of one's personality. So today, as the technology is advancing, what is happening is every principle is getting clouded in the expressions. That is, people are merely satisfied with expressions rather than getting into the core principles. See, for example, you say thank you. Now, thank you is just a phrase, but what does it really mean? Thank you should represent the feeling of gratitude which you have. But today, people just say thank you without any emotion, as a routine, manners. So our yogis say that we should always speak whatever we are feeling, or reverse, whatever we are feeling alone should be spoken. That is, the bhavana, the emotion is very important, because that alone gives the depth. But today everything has become so superficial. So earlier at least these words were used, like thank you, hi, good morning, good afternoon, something, these words were used. But as the technology is advancing, now everything is just being typed as messages. And people became so impatient to type the full spelling of the words. So then they started shortening everything, because the mind doesn't have that patience. Who can write thank you, just put TQ, finished. At least when you type it, you're staying with it a little more. That is, I'm talking of the time frame. So there is a possibility that will connect to the emotion. Now further to that, now it is all only smileys. If you want to say thank you, there is a smiley. If you want to appreciate something, there is a smiley. If you want to say that it is giving me happiness, there is a smiley. If you want to say that I don't like it, there is a smiley. So you just have to press that. Immediately it goes. Now, as sadhaks, what I want you to think about is, when you're pressing that smiley, is it getting connected to your emotions or not? That is what you need to check. Invariably, it doesn't get connected. It has become a mechanical thing. I am not saying don't use smileys. As the trend is changing, you can change the expressions. There is nothing wrong with that. But merely being satisfied with those with those expressions, without connecting it at a deeper level, now that is what is not okay. Because if you just keep doing that, after a while your whole life will become very superficial. You just put a smiley, but are you smiling from inside? Are you happy from inside when you're putting that? Invariably no. The most interesting part is, there was a kind of a questionnaire given around to many people who are active in social media, and somebody did this research, and they were asked the meanings of different smileys which they frequently use. And what was so surprising or even shocking was that most of the people, the percentage which was given was around 94 or 95% of the people, really didn't understand the meaning of those smileys. When they were asked to explain, okay, what are the many common smileys were given, and which ones do you use? So they were asked to tick, and then, okay, can you give the meaning of this? Can you give the meaning? 94 to 95% of them said, we don't know what the meaning is. So when you don't even know the meaning, then why are you doing it? What are you sending? You yourself don't know. It is a very interesting fact, Just because everybody else is doing it, mechanically you also do it. So as I told you, I am not saying don't use smileys and all that. That's not what I am saying. Add more depth to whatever it is that you are doing. That is very important. Understand what you are doing and then add depth. See, today from that survey, what was found out is that even the basic meaning they don't know, whatever it is that they're using. Many times it happens, when you see those options, various smileys are given. Now, most of them, we don't even know what it exactly means. Some people may know. I'm saying the survey showed that more than 94 to 95% of the people didn't know. So the first step is doing things with a basic understanding, and then comes the next step, which is adding depth to it. The depth is added when you align those activities of yours, whether those are physical actions or they could be verbal actions, your speech, but whatever it is, when you align them to your emotions, then you are adding depth. And then when you further align the actions and emotions to your thoughts, then you are adding more depth. When the actions, emotions, thoughts all are aligned to your belief systems, then you are adding even more depth. But when your entire personality is aligned to the higher principles of life, you are adding maximum depth to your actions, maximum depth to your life itself. So the yogic approach is not restricted to Bhagavad Gita. See, the moment we call it yogic approach, what does it mean? It's an approach. You can approach anything in a yogic way. When someone was asking me about the various social media, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, all these things, whether they are good or whether they are bad, nothing is per se good or bad. It all depends on how you use them, that's all. And even if you take all these platforms, a simple thing, you are, let's say you watch something or you read something, you like it, that appeals to you, then they are giving a like button, you can press it. You can do it with a bhavana, that is my point. And then they have a share button, you can share it with someone, to your friends. You can do it mechanically. Today that's what is happening. Most of the people just mechanically put a like and immediately share button, and they have a list of contacts, it just goes. Sometimes what is interesting is when you call them or when you reply to that and say, so what appealed to you in that message, they get confused because half of them they like and share without even reading or seeing that fully, seeing the message fully. It is very interesting how the mind gets into this shallow way of functioning. So as a sadhak, it's not that now you will have to become old fashioned. See, fashion is something which will keep on changing. There is nothing like being old fashioned, new fashioned and all that. That will keep changing. What is interesting is whatever they considered as fashion earlier, then suddenly they will say that is not fashion, something else. And then as like a circle it will come back, because I have seen this. First, for the trousers, they used to have this narrow cut. They said that was fashion, and then suddenly it expanded, became bell bottoms, this, that, so many. And after that, like a cycle, again the same narrow cut is one, and they are saying this is fashion. Some people are just sitting and deciding this, and then the whole mass just follow that without any thinking, without any originality. So if you you can be to the trend, that is not the point here. The point is, whatever it is that you're doing, don't do it mechanically. So you're liking something, sharing. I'm giving you this example because this is what you're doing most of the time. Today, everything has become social media, no? Even between a husband and wife, they communicate with each other only through social media nowadays, because they don't have time to sit together and talk. And there was a case where husband and wife, they kept on fighting through messages. They never met each other. They had kind of separated, not legally, but they wanted some space. And then they kept on fighting through messages, and finally they decided we need to have a divorce through the messages. So these expressions have taken over. So what you need to understand is, these are not substitutes to your emotions. These are not substitutes to your thoughts, and they can never be substitutes to the original principles, the higher values of life. So when you do this mechanically, we'll take this example. You're liking something, you're liking a post or a video, and then you're sharing it. If you do this mechanically, that is tamasic. I'm giving you the simple practical application of the same ancient principles. Now, if you like something in a very excited way, you lose yourself in that. And then you are sharing with a lot of excitement, but there is another motive also. If I share, I will get more following. So some motive like that is there, then that becomes rajasic. We'll be seeing that in detail, because he says those impure ones who cook for the sake of themselves. No? So it always comes back to a business-like thing. Then that is rajasic. But what is a sattvic way of doing it? You genuinely appreciate something. Oh, this content is very valuable. You appreciate it. That is a sattvic way of doing, without losing yourself in that, maintaining your objectivity. You appreciate it, and then you share it with others, because, oh, this gave me happiness, this gave me inspiration. So let me share it with my friends, let me share it with others, so that they can also see this and benefit. If that is your bhavana, then it becomes sattvic, which is what he gives in the first verse. The virtuous people, santah. So whatever it is that you're doing, now you can apply these principles fully. You don't need to change your lifestyle. You don't need to change everything, externally. It is the bhavana with which you need to change. You have to add more depth. In that process, there are many habits, many external expressions which will automatically wither away, because you will find that these things are unnecessary, certain things. They don't add any value or depth to your life. So you yourself will drop, or rather they will drop off by themselves. That is how the lifestyle also can change for the better. So as an aspiring yogi, you don't need to be against anything. See, that is another extreme view which people take in the name of spirituality. They think that you will have to do everything which our ancient people did externally. That is not possible because the lifestyle has changed. Everything has changed. No? So some people say, I just hate social media. Why do you need to hate it? If you really think about it, that is one tool through which you can reach people faster. Communication can happen very fast. So it's a very positive thing only. But it can also be misused. So if you say, I am not for misuse of social media, there is a meaning. But if you say I am against social media, now that is a very blind, stubborn way of functioning in life where you are not willing to upgrade yourself. I am covering this, I am giving this example directly because there is a sadhak who has raised this question. He says, now that social media has taken over, it is becoming very dangerous. And as a sadhak, should we abstain from it completely? That is not a solution because then you may miss out on so many things. So go along with the trend. There is nothing to get excited about. See, every day some new thing will be added. I'm saying the technological advancement is continuously happening. So today they'll come up with, let's say, a cell phone with a particular new feature. Tomorrow they will come up with a better version of it. Day after tomorrow they'll come up with a totally new feature itself. So every little thing which comes now, no need to get so excited about it because this is a continuous process. Oh, this is very interesting, it will be useful. Let me use it effectively in my life. When you have that objectivity, then without becoming a slave to all these things, you will gain that ability to use them effectively. You will keep your head above these various things which are so-called branded as temptations. I know some people in the name of spirituality, they even call technology as an evil. That is all a total misunderstanding. So this tamas, rajas and sattva which we are seeing here with respect to parasparam, now that core principles, these core principles can be applied wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing. Supposing, let's say, you're a reporter. One reporter actually asked me this. As a reporter, can I continue to be a reporter and be spiritual? I said, why not? When you're reporting things, one way is you can do it mechanically. There's no thinking at all. Then that is tamasic. The other way is you can report things, but you're always looking for some gain out of it. It's a calculation. So many times you manufacture your own things. You give your opinions as if that is only the actual news. So when you do such things, then it becomes rajasic. You color whatever is supposed to be reported. You don't report it as it is. Why? Because there can be a lot of gain because of that. Then it is rajasic. But the same reporting can be done with a sattvic attitude also. Media is a very powerful tool. So let me use that to create awareness among people. When you bring in that kind of a bhavana, what happens is the same activity becomes sattvic. So, as an answer to that person's question, when he is saying, should we avoid social media, should we avoid this, should we avoid that, there is nothing for you to avoid unless intrinsically whatever you are referring to can cause damage to you. For example, if you say drugs. Now don't ask me, sir, while taking drugs, can we be sattvic or rajasic or tamasic? That activity itself is tamasic because it makes you lose your senses. Drinking alcohol, that reduces the level of your consciousness. Now, you cannot ask me, sir, why is it that you can ask God, you can ask nature, because that's how it has been designed. But otherwise, as the trend is changing, you go along with the trend, then you will keep yourself updated. But don't change the core principles and the core bhavana. No doubt, to previous generation, also 2 generations back, people were writing letters. Today, people are typing messages. So the tool has changed, but the bhavana need not change. No. So every time when you are putting a smiley, just when you bring that bhavana of being happy, just imagine how many smileys you put in a day. So every time you do that, that will make you more happy and it will increase the purity in you. You can use that same thing for your personal spiritual development. So whatever profession you are in, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're doing, how you do it. That is what matters. That is what defines spirituality. So as we are getting into the depth of these words, I'm putting words in quote, understand that they are not mere words. When you go deep into these words, you will find that they are representing certain higher principles of life. So through this, we are trying to get to the root principles. And when you start absorbing the higher principles of life, when you get established in the ancient wisdom, and when you start functioning in life, you will find that the whole color of your life will change for the better. So in the previous verse, we saw the tamas. In this verse, we are first taking up the second line, which is giving out the rajasic approach towards parasparam, give and take. So he is using another powerful word, Agam. We've seen several dimensions. I'll give you a few more before we get on further. So Agam means basically impure. That's a general meaning. An impure person is called as Agam. But when we say impure, the range is very wide. Certain things may be impure at one place, but may be considered as pure from another angle. So you don't get that specific wisdom. That is why we are seeing all the other dimensions, so that you get to that principle in a very specific way. So Agam means impurity. Agam also means accident. So a Rajasic person is one who does things in an imperfect way, errors. His intention may be good, but he doesn't give it his best. Why is it that he doesn't give it his best? Because of that calculative nature. He will not want to take that extra mile. He will not want to do anything extra. You have paid me so much, I'll give only this. Sometimes you may have to do, or I would say most of the times you may have to stretch yourself a bit. Only then that perfection, that quality can be given. But a Rajasic person is not willing to do that. So Agam means fault. The accident, fault, they are all related only. What is the difference between a Rajasic and Tamasic person? A Tamasic person is faulty right from beginning. A Rajasic person starts off in a good way, but then somewhere down the line he slips up. And he does want a solution, but he doesn't know where he can get the solution because he is not having that sattvic element to go within and look for solution. So he starts finding fault with others also, starts blaming others also. Whereas a sattvic person is one who starts off with a good intention and continues that. When we come there, we'll see that in detail, santaha, what it means and what are the various dimensions of sattva with respect to parasparam. It will be extremely useful to all of you. So, Agam means fault, faulty. A Tamasic person is okay with being faulty. If you tell him, see, this is something which you have done, this is wrong, he'll say, oh, okay, so what? He will philosophize it. He will say, to err is human. As human beings, we have to make mistakes. Life will go on. Some big philosophy. Some Tamasic people can even go up to that level. The world is an illusion. All this, This is called devil quoting the scriptures. There is a phrase, no? Devil quoting the scriptures. Whereas a Rajasic person, when you point out the faults in him, he has done something wrong, he is not happy with it. That is one good quality. He gets agitated about it, but he does not have the depth to go within and seek solutions. He does not have the depth to go and surrender to a master and get the guidance. He just sits with it and he tries out a few things here and there, but he really does not get to the core of the matter. Whereas a sattvic person, if there is a fault, he immediately locates it. He hits at the solution very clearly because he's got the clarity of vision. Wherever required, he takes guidance from the master, from the higher intellect, and implements that. Implementation also is very important. Simply taking guidance and not implementing is of no use, And he corrects the situation. That is sattva. So, Agam means fault, being faulty. And then Agam also means misdeed. So, misdeed generally means wrongdoing, doing something. It even includes illegal activities, criminal activities and all that. That's why we also saw crime, but I gave you the higher meaning of misdeed and crime. From a spiritual point of view, misdeed means you have a goal and you miss the mark. That is misdeed. If you go by the dictionary definition, misdeed means some crime or some negative action which a person performs. So why do we say he has missed the goal? Because your goal truly is happiness. And whenever you do something which is negative, actually you are missing your mark, you are missing your goal, which is true happiness. Similarly, the other dimension of Agam is crime. So last week I was telling you, from a highest point of view, from a spiritual point of view, not living up to your potential is a crime. The other meaning, that is the normal meaning of misdeed and crime and all that, we will see that also, which is something negative, that also we'll see. But first, the spiritual aspect to this will really help you in your sadhana. So always assess your achievements according to your potential. This is a beautiful practice. As a sadhak, you can apply this principle in your life. Whenever you achieve something, don't judge or assess that achievement based on the praises of others. You do something, somebody comes and says, "Oh, how wonderful, wow, excellent." Immediately you feel so happy. Another person comes and says, "Useless, what you have done," is immediately you feel low. This is a rajasic approach. It really does not matter what others are saying or what others have done or achieved. What have you done? What is my potential and have I achieved it or not? That's why I gave you that example, student scores 40, but he still stands first because all others have scored less than 40. But supposing he has the ability to score more, then he should strive for that, no? Just to be happy saying that, oh, others, I have stood first in my class, which means others have done less than me. It doesn't necessarily mean I have lived up to my potential. So if you change that bhavana, that attitude a little bit, that is, if you change the focus from outside to inside, immediately the sattvic energy will start flowing within you. So thereafter you will stop comparing yourself with others. You will automatically stop looking for recognition, name, fame, recognition and all that. If they come to you, you are not going to shy away from it. See, where there is quality, at some point of time it will be recognized. But that will be incidental for you. Your main focus will be in bettering yourself on a daily basis so that you live up to your potential. So as a human being, what is your potential? These great masters say that your potential as a human being is to become one with infinite, to become a sthita prajna. So when you don't live up to that potential, it is considered as a spiritual crime. So everyone is a criminal from a spiritual point of view, till you become one with the infinite. Because truly that is your potential. Sometimes I'm finding it very amusing because There is nothing new which is being given. This entire thing is actually within you, because that is what you are. You are the infinite. It's like, going to a very rich person and telling him the value of wealth, or going to a successful person and talking to him about the value of success. So similarly, you are an incarnation of the infinite. Today you got disconnected because of the ignorance. So sometimes it's very amusing. Oh, the infinite has to be introduced to the infinite only actually. That is why a master becomes very detached. A master never gets into the feeling that, oh, I am now giving this knowledge and that other person has to take and all that. Because that is all ego. There is no meaning to all that. So crime, that is misdeed, crime, these words from a higher spiritual level, they have a lot of significance. Now we will relativize it a bit also. Agam also means evil. So misdeed means something negative, unlawful. Crime also means an unlawful, illegal activity. Evil means something which is very negative, destructive. Now, I will explain to you what the difference between tamas and rajas is with respect to this dimension of agam. See, when we talk of destruction, that is adharma. Adharma means unrighteous. In this ancient wisdom, whenever we talk of evil, we are talking of adharma, being unrighteous. Righteousness means virtue, dharma. Whenever there is a tendency to be destructive, either at the action level or speech level or emotional level or intellectual level, then that is called adharma. So when it comes to tamasic person, that person is also adharmic. Now rajasic person also agam, person who is adharmic. So then what is the difference? When we go to the 18th chapter, he talks of a tamasic actor, rajasic actor, tamasic intellect, rajasic intellect, and then sattva also. In that, he says a tamasic person is one who will understand righteousness as unrighteousness and unrighteousness as righteousness. That is dharma as adharma and adharma as dharma. A rajasic person is one who mixes up dharma and adharma. Slightly different words he uses, but if you read them just at the surface level, both of them will look alike. So then what is the difference? The difference is a rajasic person is one who starts off in a proper way. In a dharmic way. But when he faces some obstacles, when he faces some challenges, and he finds it difficult to tackle those obstacles, then he will take to the path of adharma, which is unrighteousness. Otherwise, he will be following the dharmic path only, righteous way only. Whereas a tamasic person is one who is adharmic right from beginning. he takes pleasure in being adharmic, in being evil. Evil means not following one's conscience, not being dharmic, not being righteous. So there is a big difference there. A tamasic person will start off in an adharmic way only. Like supposing you ask a tamasic person to acquire wealth. He will straight away think about cheating others or robbing, or that's why he uses the word stenaha. The evil part or the negative part is so deeply rooted in him that he will straight away think in an adharmic way. That is why in the 18th chapter he says he thinks dharma as adharma and adharma as dharma. Not only will a tamasic person be adharmic, but he will justify it. He will glorify it. Even in many movies which come nowadays, you will find that the negative characters are glorified, Villains are glorified. Have you seen that trend? That appeals to a tamasic mind so much. See, without an audience for that, a person cannot take such movies and the movies cannot be successful. So it means it is appealing to a certain section of the people. Whom is it appealing to? Tamasic minds. So a tamasic person is adharmic, negative, evil, we can use any word. Right from beginning, that is his habit, and he justifies all his actions. He gives reasons as to why this is the best way, and he glorifies that. So he thinks the adharmic way of functioning is the right way of functioning, is the most practical way of functioning. He understands dharma as adharma and adharma as dharma. Whereas a rajasic person, he clearly sees the difference. He starts off in a dharmic way only, but when he faces some obstacles in his path, and he does try, he tries to resolve them, but when he is not getting a solution, then he will not hesitate to get into unrighteous means. He will be tempted to get into unrighteous means in order to solve that issue. So that is the meaning of Agam. Agam means impurity. So externally, when you look at a rajasic person being adharmic and a tamasic person being adharmic, you will not see any difference because both of them are doing the same thing. But internally there is a big difference. A rajasic person knows that what he is doing is wrong. He doesn't glorify it, but he feels that he is helpless. I am unable to overcome this problem. What else to do? Therefore, I am resorting to adharmic means. Instead of taking the guidance of a higher intellect, instead of going and surrendering to a master and receiving the healing so that the karmic blocks are removed, and then instead of taking the right path, he chooses the wrong path. So that is why in the 18th chapter Krishna says, he gets confused between dharma and adharma. He mixes up these two. So a rajasic person does not glorify adharma. He knows that is wrong. Actually, whenever you are rajas, or to the extent you are rajasic, you will have guilt. A tamasic person will not have guilt. Will not have guilt in the sense, at some point when he becomes rajasic, the guilt will come. But today the guilt is not surfacing. He is only glorifying all the wrong things. So that is why we say a person who is in a state of rajas is stressed. Why? Because that guilt is there. He knows what he is doing is wrong. So in the third chapter, there is in this chapter towards the end, Arjuna will be asking this question. Why is it that a man knows that something is wrong, it is a sin, and yet he does it? To which Krishna gives that famous answer, Kamaesha Krodayesha Rajogunat Samudbhavaha. It is all because of uncontrolled desire, uncontrolled emotions like anger, arising from rajas, he says. When you are justifying what you are doing, whatever mistake you are doing, that is tamas. But here Arjuna's question is, I know something is wrong, yet I do it. Why? Rajoguna samudbhava. So a tamasic person will not have, he will be doing all the wrong things, he will not have guilt. The day he becomes rajasic, when that awareness increases, that time the guilt will start, which means the rajas has started manifesting. And then he will be very stressed. He has to release all that and get into the state of sattva. So this is a very important dimension of Agam. So when it comes to give and take, parasparam, tamasic person is called a stenaha, thief. He wants to abduct everything from everyone. He wants to rob from everyone, and he doesn't feel guilty about it. He tries to glorify that. Whereas a rajasic person, he does not want to harm anyone. He says, I should also get something, you should also get. He starts off like that. But when a challenge comes, when an obstacle comes, at that time, he may be led towards unrighteous means. And he feels guilty about it. Many people I know, they do certain things and then rest of their lives they keep on having that guilt. So understand, whenever you are doing something wrong, and if you are not feeling guilty, you are in a state of tamas. The problem is, a tamasic person will not understand this. That's a catch there. But as you know, nobody is 100% tamasic or rajasic or sattvic. You have all the three elements. So using your sattva, you should locate your tamasic areas and rajasic areas. Otherwise, it becomes impossible to communicate this. A tamasic person can never understand. A rajasic person is always stressed. A sattvic person is already established in the higher. So whom are we going to communicate this to? So it's not like that. All the three qualities are there in you in different proportions. So using the sattvic clarity, you can easily understand the tamas and rajas within you. So that is why the dimension rajas means evil, negative. Evil means negative. And another dimension of Agam is, Agam means sin. They both are interrelated only. When it comes to a tamasic person, when it came to the tamasic person, he said thief, right? Here he is using Agam, which is relatively milder, a milder word, which means sin. Now, what does it mean? What is the implication? I have already actually touched upon it. It will give you more depth only. When a person does something wrong and recognize it as something wrong and feels bad about it, that is the state of rajas. A tamasic person, will he commit sins or not? Of course, yes. But from his point of view, he will not consider it as a sin. So that is why the word Agam is used here to mean a sin. Means he has become aware that he is making a mistake. Many sadhaks have, have asked this question. Sir, earlier, before I used to do sadhana, Yoga Sankirtan sadhana, before I used to attend these sessions and all, I was not so agitated. But after attending these sessions, I have become more agitated. Why is that? They just stop short of saying, Yogishri, you are the cause for my agitations. You should understand the reason. Actually, it is a state of development. Earlier, you were not aware of your imperfections. That is a state of tamas. But when you gain this wisdom, when you do some sadhana, your awareness increases. Then you understand, you start understanding all your negativity. Oh, these are the elements which I have. So that is what he means by sin. Means you start recognizing the negativities within you. It means your awareness has increased. It is a very positive thing. If you say, I am not at all disturbed, chances are you are in a state of tamas, or you are in a state of 100% sattva, which will take you to the state of sthita prajna. That we leave out. We will let's be practical. Between rajas and tamas, what state you are in. When you are doing all sorts of things and you are just cool about it. That is a state of tamas, no awareness. So when we see this dimension of sin, it means the awareness has increased in that person. It's a positive thing because there is an opportunity for that person to correct himself and grow. When you are doing something wrong and when you don't even know that it is wrong, where is a chance of correction? Once, one sadhak, he got into a lot of issues because he did certain things which were very destructive. And then he came to me and said, sir, I got into this and all. And so the result is I'm facing all these problems in life. How to come out of it? I told him, you have to wait because so many things you have done. So for the next few years, you need to go. It's better you go through a little bit of suffering because that will purify you and that will, you will never get into this again. But there was one question which I asked him. Sir, I don't understand one thing. If you had any doubts, you could have asked me, no? Why do you need to get into all this? I'm not getting into the details of it. I'm just giving you whatever is relevant here. So instead of jumping into all these things, if you had doubts, you could have asked me, no? To which his answer was very interesting. He was being very truthful. He said, sir, correct, what you're saying is right. If I have any doubts, I should ask you. The problem is I never had any doubts. When I got into this action, I had no doubts whether that was right or wrong. I just got into it thinking it was the best way of functioning. It is only after the results have come that now I have realized what I have gotten into and I feel very guilty about it. That's why I have come to you to seek guidance. This is the danger of tamas. So from astenaha, when a person becomes agam, per se agam has lot of negative connotation, but the fact that he has moved from tamas to rajas puts him at a higher pedestal. Of course, when we take the reference point as sant, that is the sattvic people, then there are a lot of issues with rajas also. And then when you take the reference point as the infinite, which is beyond all the gunas, you will find that even sattva is also limiting only. It is a guna. It leads you to the ultimate, but per se sattva is not the ultimate. So it is just a question of what your reference point is. So whenever you're feeling guilty, whenever you become aware of your negativity, whenever you see that you have a lot of negativity, which is calling a sin or evil, we'll use the word negativities. That is more mild and it's easy to relate to. So whenever you locate any negativity within you, immediately you should actually feel happy. Because earlier I was not aware of it, I was in a state of tamas. Now having come to these sessions every Sunday, having I've been doing the sadhana regularly, and so the awareness has increased. I've become aware of my own negativity. Now there is a chance of correction. The moment you look at it that way, you will be able to release the guilt and you will start correcting yourself. See, no doubt the great Siddhas have always said that you should never have guilt. But sometimes what happens is when a person is very tamasic, it is better he has guilt, because at least the guilt will prevent him from doing all the wrong things. So don't have guilt is an advice. That is, release all the guilt is an advice which is given by the yogis to rajasic people, not to the tamasic people. Otherwise, an alcoholic who is addicted to alcohol, he will never change. And then he'll say, if you ask him, don't you think what you're doing is wrong because this is ruining so many things? He'll say no. Why? Because in the Bhagavad Gita sessions it was said, yogis have said, don't have guilt. So these principles should not be misused like that. So Agam is such a beautiful principle. The word denotes the principle where when you get into the state of Agam, actually there is a potential for you to change and transform yourself. When you are in a state of stenaha, that is tamas, now there is no potential for change. There is no possibility of change. You are closing all the doors. When you become rajasic, no doubt there are a lot of imperfections, but what is the silver lining in that cloud? That is, there is a possibility of improvement. There is a possibility of changing. There is a possibility of growing further, of evolving. That is why we say Rajas is higher than Tamas. So when a student goes to a master, the master does not see whether the student has faults or not. Everybody has, no? The master only sees whether the student is aware about it, whether he or she is willing to put in that effort to do the sadhana to get out of that. If he finds that there is no willingness, there is no integrity, then he doesn't waste his time in giving any advice. Because there is no point, it will not work. So in this case, in Arjuna's case, you find that he is basically a rajasic person. That is why he is asking all these questions. The fact that he was so agitated about the whole thing, all that shows rajas. He was predominantly a rajasic person. Little bit of tamas. That's why he temporarily got into a state of inaction. And some sattvic elements also he had. Why do we say he also had sattvic elements? That is why he was able to surrender to Lord Krishna and ask him for guidance. If the sattva hadn't been there, he wouldn't have asked Krishna anything. He would have just said, I don't want to fight this battle, and he would have walked away. Arjuna didn't do that. So the word Agam is such a beautiful word when you look at it from a sadhana point of view, because it throws up the possibility of change and development within you. The more your imperfections are, when you start becoming aware of them, the more imperfections you have, it means the more possibility you have to transform yourself. Everyone has imperfections. When a person says, I don't have any imperfection, it means that person is in a state of tamas. When you say, I have more imperfections, it means your awareness is increased. You can do sadhana, and then you will become sattvic, where you will truly be aligned to the infinite. See, when a person truly goes beyond all this, that is, I am talking of tamas and rajas, the divinity starts shining forth from that person's personality. There is a calming influence, That person is only really cool. A sattvic person is only really cool, not a tamasic person. So, Agam means from, if we take the sequence, first we saw accident, then we saw fault, and then that is, the very first one was general impurity, and then misdeed, fault, the crime, all this we saw, and then we got into that evil part, the negative part, and now sin. Means the awareness has increased. The awareness about one's negativities has increased. So that is a necessary step before you become sattvic. So a rajasic person will suffer because of his awareness, but that suffering has a potential to grow. Therefore, a master is not worried so much about rajasic people. A master, if at all, is concerned only about tamasic people, because they are going down the drains and they don't even know that they are just glorifying themselves. They are in that state of ego where the ego starts believing that it is God. It's a very dangerous state. Rajasic people can always find solutions. The master can guide a rajasic person. But when it comes to a tamasic person, that person resists guidance. So, you can take this as a homework, that is, this practice, not just for this week, but for your entire lifetime. You can take this as a practice. That is, I am giving you the sadhana aspect of Agam. How do you convert this into sadhana? What sadhana you need to do? When we are studying all this, okay, error, accident, evil, how are you going to use it for your personal transformation? It is this way, that is, whenever you locate any imperfection within you, immediately the guilt will come. So how do you remove that guilt? By understanding that earlier also you had it. You just become aware of it, number one. It's not something new. And number two, now that your awareness has increased, you have put yourself you've gone to the next stage where you have the opportunity to correct it and grow. So the moment you understand that, then you can, through sadhana, you can release the guilt, and you will put in the effort to correct yourself. See, when you are releasing the guilt, if you don't put in any effort to correct yourself, what will happen is, when the guilt is removed, it will actually not be removed, it will only be suppressed. You will get back into tamas. A person who does not have guilt, that person will either be tamasic or sattvic, and chances are that person will be tamasic only. Very few people are at such advanced levels, So this is the way by which you can use your guilt to your advantage. As you are correcting yourself, you can also release off the guilt, and then you will get into a state of sattva, the state of purity, where the awareness becomes very high. And since the awareness is very high, the chances of making mistakes or getting into the negative path and all these things are very minimal. And if at all there is a slip, that person is able to pull himself or herself back very fast, because the awareness is very intense. So, Stenaha, Agam and Sant. We are going to, we are studying all these three things, in comparison, so that it will give you a very clear understanding about how the gunas are functioning within you. So you can take this up as your homework for life. That is, whenever you locate any negativity, now don't get bogged down by it. And the moment when I say don't get bogged down by it, immediately the mind will want to slip back into tamas, because a tamasic person will put on a cloak of confidence, No, it is not that. Look for corrections. Glani means guilt. Prayaschit means putting in that effort to correct situations. So when Indra, if you read the Puranic incident, Indra, he got attracted to Ahilya, who was a Rishi Patni, and he took the form of the Rishi, and he fooled her. They both had a physical relationship. Now when the Rishi came to know this, the incident is that he cursed Ahilya to be stone-like and all that. Now there is a deeper significance to it, because it is mentioned that Ahilya was also aware that it was Indra. See, she was also a tapaswini. She was not an ordinary person. Ahilya was a great saint. It was just a slip. So, since certain things were done with awareness, she became very guilty about it. So, that in order to remove that guilt, this is the way by which those karmas can be neutralized. So, I am not getting into the detailed explanation of that, and some other context we will see that. But the point here is, Indra, he lost all his powers. The position of Indra is obtained after you do many things. It is said so many yagas have to be performed in order to become an Indra and all that. So having come to that level, now he frittered away everything. So all his stages had gone, glory had gone. He became nishtej, no dynamism, and he had so much of guilt. So he went to Lord Shiva and he said, I don't know what to do. I am having so much of guilt. Lord Shiva said, I cannot help you, because you require Shakti now. So go to Parvati and ask her. Only she can help you. So he went to Goddess Parvati and prayed to her and said, Mother, this is what I did, and I am feeling so guilty about it. How do I get over it? Then Parvati told him, fine, you have crossed that first stage from tamas to rajas and you are feeling guilty now. Now understand that this guilt is not going to help you anymore. Then he asked her, what should I do? She said, instead of living with guilt, now you apply the principle of prayaschit. Prayaschita means doing sadhana to counter the effects of the negative karmas which you would have done. That is putting in positive efforts to counter the negative. That is called prayaschit. So she taught him some certain sadhana. She initiated him into that. She said, now you go and do these things. And the incident is that he did the sadhana which he was taught for a period of time, and he got back his tejas, he got back his brilliance. It's a very significant episode which is given in the Puranas. How do you deal with your guilt? Guilt comes because of rajas. Now if you again suppress it, you will go back to tamas. That is not the way. The way is prayaschit. Put in efforts to correct whatever you have done and give it a period of time. Don't expect immediate results. Some people, they will do all the things which whatever they want, any negative thing they will do, and then they will want an overnight miracle to happen. Sir, I did sadhana yesterday, nothing has happened. Don't be so short-sighted. You will have to give it a certain period of time. It's okay. Go through that a little bit of suffering, because you know that you're going to come out more strong. So wherever you locate some negativity within you, now bring in this attitude of correction. Use the guilt to get into the action of correction, which is called prayaschit. If you know, these things I have done, that has led me to this problem. Now, what is the prayaschit I have done? Prayaschit means the counter activity. We are not necessarily talking of morality or ethics. For example, if you put the finger in fire, that is also law of karma only. That action, it has burnt your finger. What is a prayaschit? Put those medicines and all that and give it a period of time to heal. That is called prayaschit. So, prayaschit means that a set of activities which you take up to counter the negative activities which you have done. So, when you practice this, then we can say you are using this principle of Agam to your advantage. Otherwise, you will only get more and more stressed, and finally you will slip back into tamas, that is inaction. So, when you commit a mistake, correct yourself. Don't go on repeating the same thing or get into a state of tamas. Simple. It's very simple to say, but you will have to practicalize it. That is left to you. Okay? So, you reflect on these points which were given today. In the next session, we will continue further. We will also see how the Agam is directly applicable to the principle of Parasparam, which is a main facet of Yajna. So, you should not forget, that is our theme, here. So, that main theme should not be forgotten. Okay. So, now we will do Nididhyasana meditation. Gently close your eyes. do deep breathing. With every breath, I am becoming more and more relaxed. Feel the divine vibrations. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper into myself. Beyond this physical body, beyond these pranas, beyond these emotions, beyond these thoughts, lies my essential self. My self is higher and divine.
From this moment onwards, I choose to correct myself wherever necessary and keep on moving towards the higher state. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Gently wriggle your fingers and your toes. Open and close your palms a few times. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. And cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, your cheeks, forehead, the top of your head, the back of your head, your neck, and slowly open your eyes.
Welcome back. So we had a good session today, wherein we saw many points which will give you so much of clarity about yourself. The more clarity you gain about yourself, you would be able to easily handle the various challenges of life. So the main thing is for you to reflect on these principles. I gave you the homework for life itself. So when you apply that in your life, at every opportunity, that is the key thing, you will find that the results will start coming. Because in spirituality, we don't believe in just merely talking high things. The yogic path, it's a combination of the higher principles and practicality. So this is the way you can practicalize things. Okay? So I'll see you in the next session. Thank you very much. Hari Om.